July is bringing the heat, and it is almost here. Hot today with more storms tonight. That's the story for summer in Colorado, right? As we take a live look over Coors Field, looking ahead to the 4th of July, a lot of people getting ready to hit the road for the holiday. TSA expecting to screen 32 million people over the next week going through airports. Some people might be getting a late start, though, here in Denver today. 327 flights have been delayed going into or out of DIA, with some of that because of the weather that we've been seeing. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. I'm Mark Salinger. Want to get right to meteorologist Lauren Robinson. And Lauren, you're tracking some storms this evening all around the state.
That's right. We're seeing those scattered showers and storms mostly across the western slope and into the high country right now, but we do have a line of storms just south of Denver, between Denver and Colorado Springs, pushing their way through areas like Larkspur, through Castle Rock, pushing their way toward Kiowa, and we're going to look for them in areas like Agate. So we're going to watch for this line of showers and storms to continue to move eastward, but we're not done after that. We are still expecting some thunder showers later this evening in downtown Denver. Outside of that, the heat returned today. We finally made it back out of the 80s after a one-day drop yesterday. We barely made it out. We saw a high of 90 degrees at DIA. Some areas stayed in the 80s today. We saw lots of 80s up north in Fort Collins and then to the south in Colorado Springs and in Lyman. The Eastern Plains stayed in the 70s in some areas. 79 was the high out in Burlington. We saw 70s and 80s in the high country, and we also saw some 80s and 90s across the western slope. Right now, temperatures very slowly cooling down at 5 o'clock in the evening, but let's take a look at our 24-hour temperature change map. We're just 3 degrees warmer than we were this time yesterday, but we are going to continue to watch for that warmer weather to really settle in over the next few days. So I'll have details on all of that, continued storm chances, and what your 4th of July will look like just ahead.
Lauren, thank you. And all that hot weather isn't helping the firefighters battling the Oak Ridge fire down in Pueblo County in southern Colorado. They could really use some more rain. It's now burned nearly 1,200 acres, or about 2 square miles, still at 0% containment, with more than 480 firefighters right now responding to it. Evacuation orders still in place tonight in some of those areas. Many people in Pueblo County also under pre-evacuation notices, just in case that fire continues to grow. Now News reporter Janelle Finch shows us what that's like to hope the fire doesn't spread even more into homes.
The Oak Ridge fire has been burning 3 miles from Beulah for more than a week. For more than a week, Eric Bakke has been ready to evacuate.
Both vehicles were packed with what we felt was important other than the essentials, which was our medication.
Bakke says he lives about 1 mile away from flames and watches the fire grow every day, hoping it doesn't head his way.
As I'm eating, I kind of look out the window and I see this huge brownish column of smoke. And I go, that just doesn't look right. So I go out and I get up at a vantage point from our property, and sure enough, this darn thing had blown up.
Blown up to be more than 1,000 acres.
What concerned me is, one, it was up in this really rocky, hard to get to terrain, and the predominant winds were coming towards us.
In addition to a difficult environment, firefighters are also up against history.
That area hasn't seen fire in about 100 years in that specific spot.
Catherine Abrahamson is working on the Oak Ridge fire. She says flames are reducing those century-old fuels.
Having a little bit of fire, if it's on our terms, is a really positive thing. And so, we would love to get to a point where we can kind of introduce that type of burn to the area and make sure it's healthy for long-term to come.
From a bolt of lightning to flames sweeping the hills, Bakke's documented progress each day.
Most of that is just to keep our community informed and to give them a visual look at what this is about.
Bakke's had his camera in one hand and go bag in the other. With nearly 500 personnel working flames, he hopes his next snapshot will be good news from the Oak Ridge fire.
I'm grateful for every one of the firefighters that's here and everything the community has done to help out as well.
Bakke says his in-laws had to evacuate from their home closer to the fire. He says they were able to stay in their property in Pueblo. Oak Ridge Fire says about 20 properties are still in the evacuation radius, but most are second homes, and no structures have been lost. In the studio, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
Those firefighters doing some important work. Janelle, thank you. This weekend, members of Colorado Task Force 1 returned from their deployment in New Mexico, where they were helping fight the South Fork, I should say, and Salt fires. They worked with search canines to do search and rescue in burned areas. They checked more than 900 buildings and over 6,000 acres to make sure that everybody got out okay. Then they prepared for water rescues once torrential rain started. The South Fork and Salt fires started nearly 2 weeks ago in New Mexico. Both fires combined have burned more than 25,000 acres there. Neither are fully contained yet, but fire activity has decreased a lot, luckily. Flooding now a big threat in the area with the burn scars. Tonight, we're learning more about the man who died while rafting on the Green River in Dinosaur National Monument out in western Colorado. He was a firefighter. Michael Harp was a member of the Salt Lake City Fire Department. The department says he was a second-generation firefighter. He'd been with the department for 27 years out in Utah. He was deployed to Ground Zero after 9/11. He was part of a private group that was rafting on the Green River. On Thursday, when the raft got pinned to a rock, Harp got trapped underneath it, then lost his life jacket and drifted away. Crews found his body on Friday. Loveland firefighters spent 6 hours on Saturday working to get an RV out of the river in northern Colorado. This happened around 2 yesterday afternoon in the Big Thompson Canyon off of Highway 34. Firefighters say it was about 75 feet down the embankment and into the river. The driver was luckily able to get out. Rescue crews worked with a towing company to get the RV out. Coming up tonight on 9 News at 10, we're talking with first responders who made that difficult rescue.